G'day everybody. Alibi Jones here, leader and founder of the Earth Guard Astral Projection. I might bring this microphone a little bit closer. Yeah. Now, I bring this video to you today for all the people who are tired of hearing about the Pleiadians who are never going to help us, for about the med beds that have been 5.5 years waiting, all of the arrivals and pickups that the aliens are doing, and just constant drama of which nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens. For those people who've been following QAnon or Nasara Jasara, I've been watching Nasara Jasara for 30 years. It's been going for 30 years and nothing has come of it. It's there are a lot of dud narratives out there. There are a lot of duds, but we don't have anything better. Like there are a lot, and we've all suffered disappointments. I know each and every one of these narratives I put my faith in and was disillusioned. It was just one after the other, after the other, after the other. It was painful, but that's what's going on in our world. That's how our reality is. So that's what we got. Now, people have told me that the narrative that I'm working with is the only one that explains everything. It's the only one that makes sense of everything. And, it wasn't easy to win it. It wasn't easy to come to these conclusions. In fact, we've had teams of astral projectors flying multiple missions a week, like going out there on the astral planes and knocking on the door, getting up to the coal face, and through contact time with demon kind and all of the forces of abuse on our world, this is what we figured out. Now, so far as I can tell, our team is the only one whose primary goal, whose singular dedication is to ending demonkind, is to exterminating them on the earth. There's no other, there are lots of astral projection teams who are working on the grids. There are other groups who are doing all sorts of lovely stuff for Jesus or Gaia or this or that other good guy. But all of them are based in unconditional love, more or less, and to a degree. They're all working towards unconditional love. And unconditional love is very unsatisfying because it has no boundaries. And so this philosophy, and I think it was seeded by the bad guys. This philosophy allows for any kind of abuse to be forgiven, anything at all. And and the abuser abuses somebody and then guilt trips the abusee for not forgiving them, for not making the emotional tension of that dissolve. Can you believe it? But our team is here about creating boundaries on the earth. And for our species, demonkind is the number one abuser. Like, when you come to understand demons, and there's not many people who do, or the breadth and thickness and just how much possession is actually going on out there and what it looks like, then once you understand that, it must end. It has to go. There's just no place for that kind of entropy, because every drama and more or less every fight is instigated by these guys. So when anybody behaves strangely or overly emotionally or makes decisions with their negative emotions, there's only a 99% chance that demons are involved. But having seen this over the last 15 years or 20 years that I've been doing this, that I've been doing astral projection, I should say, the conclusion is, after seeing this, I took a different path from love and light. I tried love and light. It really was inadequate in solving demonic problems. And I say that you cannot love the rabid timber wolf. You cannot hug him until he's well. When you bring that rabid timber wolf to your chest, the results are utterly predictable. And it's not an effective scheme for confronting them. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say the word confronting them, because I've been in other trainings where their whole policy is avoid, deflect, illusion, run away from, push away, somehow detach and disconnect from all demons, and which just lets them run riot and attack somebody else who's more vulnerable than an astral projector. It's and I put an epic amount of research into them, and I'm probably one of the world's top 10 exorcists at the moment. Small field, so I don't know how many are out there. But on YouTube, I'm certain that I know more about this than anybody else. And if you want to interview me, if you want to trade notes, I'm very open to doing a video with you. If you know what you're talking about, I want to be there and I want to share this material. But to go back to a global scale, I want to say that every politician in power, past and present, are possessed. You will not be a candidate for political power unless you are part of Team Demonkind. I interviewed Lucifer. It's on my YouTube channel. And he says that there are 42 people per day selling their souls in houses with black and white checkerboard floors. I hope you can figure out what that means. These guys are, 42 people a day. And there's only 5 things that they take. And that's money, sex, drugs, power, and fame. And what's the saddest thing? And these guys are selling out their species for that. And the saddest thing is that you can get all of those if you just apply yourself a little bit. If you want any of those, you just need to do a bit of work, just need to do a bit, it's just to apply yourself. And all of that is available to you if that's what you want to do, because that's the free world that we live in. But these guys, losers that they are, still have to cheat. And they use their demonic allies to stay in power. Every single politician that we have scanned has done something called a dark covenant. That's the kind of contract with the devil that they do. And that dark covenant allows the demon they do it with to use their body whenever they choose. So they can step into their body at any moment in time. And literally their awareness or their primary intelligence is cowering in the corner of their body while the demons bully them relentlessly. And so our world leaders, for all of their for all of the honor we bathe them in, for all of their status, for all of their clean cut looks, these guys are monsters. These guys are literally demons in human body who are running our world into the ground. And I want you to think there is not a single decision that any of these politicians make that's good for anybody. Everything that they're doing is akin to get it together, work hard, and do your thing, get and be successful, and all of the world's rewards are open to you. And that's the right wing of politics. The left wing of politics says, oh, you're weak, you're a little bit downtrodden, you're not quite ready. Let mummy hold you and help you and boost you up so that you can play with all the other kids too. And that's the nanny state at work. We have but these two archetypes match really, really well with mummy and daddy. And psychologically, subconsciously, it's very, very difficult to reach the conclusion that mummy and daddy don't like you. In fact, mummy and daddy might actually want bad things to happen to you. And, I don't need to go through the health crisis of 2020 or explain that the water's poisoned, the air's poisoned, the food is poisoned. So there are other people who speak more articulately on that topic than I do. But if you're watching this video, if you're part of this group, then you've probably done the rounds on that. You've probably got an understanding of that too. And all of our world's problems are legislated. All of the world's problems are created in parliaments. Just think about that for a minute. The politicians' bodies are being used as a facade to hide a demonocracy, a rulership of demons. Now, I don't know. I don't think anybody should be really surprised by that statement, or that it's really that far out, or it's really that challenging for people. It's not. It's not at all. But you know, when the health crisis started, that's when I said this little black duck is not going out with it down without a fight. But when the great health crisis of 2020 started, this little black duck said, I'm not going down without a fight. I'm going to go out and take it to demon kind. And what surprised me, and I like every day, I'd get in the astral planes, I'd chase down a demonic base or a dimension they own and exterminate all of the demons and crush all of the infrastructure and close the dimension so that they cannot operate from that place ever again. And I did it day in, day out for months. And then we got some friends involved, and then we got some more friends involved. And then I started doing a YouTube channel and started teaching people this, because if this is actually the problem for Earth, then who else is trying to solve it? I don't know if I'm right or wrong, if like all of the world's problems start with demon kind. And it doesn't really matter. The world will be a better place without them. I don't have to be perfectly right. I just think that this would be a good thing to do to steer humanity in a different direction. And fighting demon kind has it's been going for 5.5 years now. It's an epic job. And over the years, my YouTube channel has claimed some great victories, only to discover that demon kind has replaced everything we destroyed. And what we've found is that demon kind is not actually part of creation. Demon kind is not native to Earth. What we're actually facing is an invasion force. An invasion force. And the Earth is currently under occupation. And that we are an occupied planet and an occupied species. And I feel that if all of the world knew that this planet was being run by off-worlders, we would act very, very differently. There would be so little cooperation with our governments and our rulership. It would be obscene. It would be a stalemate of epic proportions. But while we think it's just fools and liars and cheats who are running our governments, well, then we can be a bit more forgiving. We can be a bit more understanding. Now, like I said, every single politician that we've scanned on the astral planes, that we've flown over there and had a good long look at them, has done something called a dark covenant. If you're not sure about this at all, I'm gonna bring up two characters. One is Justin Trudeau, and the other one is Emmanuel Macron. Now, Trudeau was a drama teacher. He's a school teacher, which in my mind, before he went into politics, which in my mind doesn't qualify you for politics. In fact, it disqualifies you to be part of politics. The reason why he got the big job is because of his position in the cult. His father was a very, very big wig in the cult, very, very important for Canada, for the cult's interest in Canada, and was able to position his son as a successor. And, you know, the guy, he wasn't up to the job. He wasn't up to the task. He wasn't ready for it. He made so many blunders, it was painful to watch. But, you know, it's only because of his loyalty to the cult that he got the job at all. The second one is Emmanuel Macron. And his personal life is beyond weird, in that he had an affair with his school teacher. Oh my, I can see a hawk out the window. There's a hawk in my garden. Wow. Isn't that a great sign? Wow. Emmanuel Macron had an affair, was predated upon by a school teacher, ended up marrying her. Turns out that her was actually a he before. And if you listen to Candace Owens, that him was his own father. And that, I like the depravity involved in that, the number, the sheer compound immorality, the sheer compound horror of that scenario. I think just impressed the cult that much, they just gave him the big job anyway. I think they were just as equally, oh, bravo, you couldn't have made a more twisted and obscene life than that. But but that background should have disqualified him from politics altogether. If any part of it was true, if you married as a school teacher, my God. But that's who we're dealing with. This kind of twisted morality, this kind of depravity is what they revel in. But our astral project, and I have plenty more to say about that, but I'm just going to end it here because this is the part where our astral projection work has led to this research, to these findings. And they are so much worse than we could imagine. Like they are. When I really sit down and think about it, I'm horrified and I'm overwhelmed. Planet Earth is occupied, and it's not a small force that's occupying it. Now, we've been tracking this particular force for a long time. We've confronted it and met it in so many scenarios, in so many contexts. But the one that I think is most telling is a mission that our team flew against something called the Pact. And what the Pact is it's a relay station for a collation station for energy from 36 galaxies. It is currently siphoning energy, siphoning life force out of 36 galaxies. And they have a facility that then collates it and then forwards it to another location, which I will get to in a minute. But it's concurrently invading 36 galaxies. Just get your head around like what we're dealing with here, just the scale of what we're dealing. And it wasn't as though this has just popped into our head. Week in, week out, our team is flying several missions. At the moment, we're flying 5 missions a week. Sorry, 7 missions a week because 2 of those are for cadets. And oh, oh wow, yeah, sorry. And we're just doing constant work on this. We are doing absolutely constant, relentless work on this. And what we're finding is that demons are not a normal species. They don't breed. Like their method for duplication does not involve breeding. They're also very, very tightly controlled. And they're not from this planet, but there are, let's say 50 to 100 planets in just our galaxy who they have been deployed on. They are not part of creation, and they're not part of the standard. The universe didn't create good and evil to test itself. It didn't create its own antithesis just for kicks, just to get that theology out of the way. In fact, it's so clear that when I talk about the story of Lucifer, like Lucifer was one of the top angels, and he somehow upset God, and he was sent to heaven, and he came as a meteor. Right, so that's the story. That's the theology. And the only actual fact in all of that is that Lucifer is imported to Earth. He's not native to Earth. He came from somewhere else. That's the only real fact in all of that story. Which means he's not native here. He brought evil. He infected the consciousness of our world with evil. And after speaking to so many demon lords over the years, like he is a monster who corrupts everything he touches. And there's so many deities and gods and spiritual functions in our world that he touched, corrupted, and turned to the dark side. And, our best read is that there are 14,000 breeds of demon on Earth. 14,000, I shouldn't say breeds, I should say models, because they're at a level of technology where they can create an astral animal that gives it intelligence and direction and force and methodology and an astral body and like all of the things that make it look like just another spirit. But every single demon is built. We've gone to the factories, we've destroyed as many as we can find. We've even found a star that the dark side has captured, and that's a facility, that's the headquarters, it's the overarching facility that I don't know what all of the functions are for that demon star, but one of them is manufacturing demons to be distributed across our galaxy and half of the next one. Now, demonkind is a tightly controlled species, and most people only go as far as that. I might talk a little bit about theology and controlled opposition. And if you're not sure about this, listen to my interviews with Archangel Michael. I think that would be really telling for what you're looking for. Now, the war in the heavens between angels and demons is a non-event. They are not fighting demonkind. Our team has been doing it for years and years and years. And we've bumped into all sorts of characters who are involved in this conflict as well. Not one of them's been an angel. We've seen Galactic Federation of Light doing stuff like this. We've seen Galactic Federation of Worlds doing stuff like this. We've seen the Buddhists doing stuff like this. We've seen off-world groups doing stuff like this. Like lots of different groups, never the angels. The war in the heavens is just, what do you call it? Propaganda. You see, the theology goes like this. Demons and angels are light and dark sides who both serve a single master. That master is Metatron. You'd know Metatron's cube. You would have seen this around mystic circles, but I'm going to put it in a different context where Metatron is the mayor of the city, and he uses Archangel Michael, the chief of police, to keep the city clean. Except what he's really here to do is extract as much from the population as he can. And so he's the overseer for Satan and Lucifer to run the crime syndicate in that city. Now, the police will respond to individual calls, like the angels will come and help one person at a time when they call. Vast minority of people are doing that, absolute minority. But in the long term, but the standing angels will never destroy their fallen brothers. This war in the heavens has gone on for thousands of years with no result. Why? Because it's just PR. This is a controlled opposition. As human beings, we don't need to fight the demons. We don't need to get onto this question because the angels are taking care of it for us. And they lie to us relentlessly about it. It's controlled opposition. This is not the only time they use it. You've seen Republicans and Democrats. These guys both run the same policy sheets, run the same agenda. These guys are all working for the same people. They're all part of the cult. It's actually called the Abraxas Group. You should follow that one up. They are not. There's absolutely no distinguishment. Sorry, wearing red or wearing blue doesn't mean you're on a different team to the other side. It just means you're just wearing that hat today, when really everybody in that building is serving the Dark Lord Satan. And this blueprint of controlled opposition is repeated again between, well, good aliens and bad aliens. These are Pleiadians versus reptilians, right? And that war has been going on for a long time with no result and there's just nothing going on there. It's just another public relations mess. And I want you to understand it this way. The reptilians have armies and they have fleets here to occupy Earth and abuse the beings, the humans that are here. How long have the Pleiadians also had an opposing fleet and an opposing army here to stop that abuse and sat on their hands? It's not really feasible for the reptilians and the Pleiadians to both occupy a system without one side or the other taking the first shot. And even if that were the case, and I don't believe that it is, I think they're actually working on the same team. What kind of friends would the Pleiadians be if they're watching the reptilians eat our children? Like if that's what they'll allow, if that's the non-boundaries that they're willing to demonstrate here, we don't need them as friends. They're useless. They're just plain useless. And again, just like the angels, they will come and help one person at a time, but they won't solve the problem that humankind is under. It's kind of like the wolves are getting in the hen house, and they'll take the one hen at a time out of a wolf's mouth, but they won't patch the fence to keep them out. It's never going to happen. And so you've got this Republicans and Democrats, and you have heroes like Obama and Trump, and like the world is still a worse place with them at the reins. Like both of them, neither of them really saved anything. Neither of them really changed the world for the better. And it's the same thing with angels and demons. There's just no action in that contest. And the same thing with Pleiadians and reptilians. There's no action in that contest. There's nothing going on. And the Pleiadians are lying to us because, well, they could have handed us med beds 5 years ago, and they don't. Are they worried about them falling into the dark side's hands? They've got the same kinds of longevity technology, the same kind of self-repair technology, just using different methodologies. Our teams have seen the work, and it's about extraction of energy from souls. The whole purpose of dark side magic, of black magic, is to give life to people who who don't have any left. To give life force to people who need it and don't have it. The extraction of youth, the extraction of life force. That's what it always ends in, right back to the Egyptian Book of the Living and the Egyptian Book of the Dead. That's where black magic is obsessed, whereas white magic is far more interested in making your heart shine and making you feel good about or taking away all the pain that made you feel bad about living in a demonically run world. And everybody's got their own individual problems, believe it or not. Now, those are the occupying forces that we are exposed to. They're the ones that we've seen. Our team has been fighting the Archons, who the shortest way of describing them is space vampires. We've flown across multiple galaxies. We've seen creation as a whole, like the entirety of creation. And our creation is not alone. There are other creations. Like there's a whole lot to go on with. And it's funny, I was talking to a Hindu priest friend of mine, and he saw that I said that the universe or creation is egg-shaped. Apparently that's in Hinduism as well. Like that's confirmed there. And there's also this material from Ashiana Dean that also says the universe is egg-shaped. It seems like we've rediscovered what's been discovered by prior meditators, by the same thing. But and our connection with Source is getting stronger week by week. We've been doing a lot of work for an arm, the judicial and policing arm of Source, and it's called the Equilibrium. We started calling it the Balance, but the Equilibrium just has a better ring to it. And we've been doing all sorts of jobs for it. But this is where it gets, we've seen as much as there is to see. I don't know. The level we're playing at, it stuns us all. It really surprises us all. But we spent 5 years getting here. Now we're here. We also have a really clear idea of what we have to do. And it started, and the real juicy bit started with the death of Satan a couple of 2 months ago now. And this is what we find. This is what we found. This is how this story went. All right. Source is at a frequency that's too high to see evil. Evil's low frequency, source is high frequency, and there's nothing to bridge that gap. And we are unique in fighting demon kind. Well, not unique, but very, very rare. And it turns out that we've been successful enough to reach source and to bridge that frequency gap. And so source is quite excited by the idea of exterminating these parasites. Now, what the equilibrium told us in the first interview is that creation, I'm going to say creation, has an egg-shaped body, or is egg-shaped, and it expands and it expands and contracts, and so it has a breath function. It does a breath of in and out, and as it breathes out, and we're on one of the most expanded phases that existence does, or that creation, not existence, does. The membrane at the exterior of creation is not expanding evenly, and there are thick parts and there are thin parts to it, and that there's a force outside of creation that is penetrating into creation and chewing on and eating the gooey insides, us, right? We're the juicy bits that it's getting involved in, and it's getting involved in 36 galaxies. If you saw our work on the pact, it's collating energy from 36 galaxies. That's how serious these guys are about consuming creation. And creation, up until now, hasn't had a way to stop them. So this is what we're doing. And there's a chain of command for Satan. You see, Satan's not he's the head of demon kind. Oh, sorry. I wouldn't even say that. It's better to go to the end of the story, where outside of creation, what we saw is a seven-headed dragon. And in mythology, he's called Tiamat. It's a very old story. Tiamat, the multi-headed dragon at the end of the universe, who's here to consume everything. And it's not. There's nothing inaccurate about that statement. And what we found was exactly that. Exterior to creation is animal. I'm going to say animal. I'm not committed to that, to all the things that means, but it created a spirit or a being or a series of beings to come into creation and bring back the juicy goodies. And for him, that was Satan. Now, we've recently, all in our conflicts with Baphomet, what we've found is that he's actually the brainchild of a different Tiamat character. And so what I think we're looking at is a species of seven-headed, multi-headed dragons who are creating an agent or building a spirit or something like this and sending it into creation and having it impregnate itself into different worlds to withdraw life force or energy or loosh or however you want to describe that. And they've done it in worlds across 36 galaxies. They're very, very effective at it. But what I think we're looking at is there might be maybe as many as 10 Tiamat characters projecting their monsters into our creation. And so Satan I call him a captain of Earth, And he's one, and if you follow his chain of command back, you'll find a guy outside of creation, a seven-headed dragon, who sent him here. And I also believe that he's been sent to thousands of worlds. He's been duplicated and sent to thousands of worlds. And the same with Baphomet. You see, Satan created a church around himself. Baphomet created the financial system. And you'll see one of the intermediary figures, a guy we call the Great Nothing, who also puts himself into that. And Baphomet is the brainchild of a different guy in this species of multi-headed dragons, right? It's and other captains that we have identified include, but are not limited to, Cthulhu. He's very much an attacker on the mental, whereas Satan was an attacker on the emotional. And Baphomet he's all about finances, and so he used karmic debt as his method of manipulating individual humans. Pistis Sophia, the dark feminine, is also one of these characters, and so is Kronos of time and his manipulation of time, which we're still looking for Mayan calendar crew to come to the party and help us resolve issues around time. Their time science crew, we're really still looking for them. Come to the party, please. If you know one personally, reach out. Because, anyway. And there's one more Araman, who is to do with the AI and the transhumanist agenda. So, what the narrative that I'm working with, or the narrative that we've discovered, that we spent thousands of hours piecing together bit by bit, asking the right questions step by step. These thousands of hours that we've invested in coming to this conclusion. And everything we know through contact time. We're not reading anybody else's books. We're not leaning on anybody else's theory. Like we're out there in discovery. And we think that our creation has a problem, and so too do other creations like our creation, that is being penetrated by a hostile force that it doesn't have a response to. It doesn't have a response to. It doesn't have a defense mechanism or an immune system that's effective to it. And so these beings, we've seen the apparatus to consume from 9 other galaxies. And then when you follow that apparatus, there's nothing on the other side of it. The galaxy is fully consumed. We don't know how long creation has been losing galaxies for. We don't know how long this has been going on for. But creation's quite excited. Source is quite excited that we're doing the work we're doing, because we've been running around stitching up the holes that have been left behind through the penetration into the interior. We've also become absolutely certain that subatomic technologies like nuclear weapons and like hadron colliders, or CERN is the one that everybody knows, are 100% in service to these beings outside of creation. And that when you fire up these subatomic technologies, it actually creates holes in space-time that they can penetrate. And our team has been working to stitch them up over the last 2 months. We've kind of got a frame now, and it's taken us ages to really unravel all of the mystery, unravel all of the drama that's going on here, and figure out exactly what Earth is facing. And we're facing an invasion of a type that we are not prepared for. We do not understand it. It is not what I'm saying, I'm a nobody, but this is what I've got. This is what I've figured out. And we spent, and it's been verified at every step of the way. And we're not prepared for it. And this type of invasion has been effective across thousands of worlds before us, and it's in process in thousands of other worlds. Uh, uh, what I think is happening is that these 10 Tiamat, these 10 monsters at the end of the universe characters, are each create a different style or a different methodology for abusing, well, all kinds of species, and that they're just they send one copy of each of them to each world and see which one is most effective at abusing this particular species or that particular planet. And for us, Satan was the one who made it into ascendancy. But, he's the best known. Baphomet is another big, big name in their apparatus. And, we've had some we've got some runs on the board with him. We've had some wins. I think we're really, really close to breaking the back of the invasion here. Or this is something unique. Demonkind is not telling us that this has happened before. I'm not sure that it ever has. The equilibrium is also telling us the same thing, that our work is almost unique. Well, it's the first time it's ever seen it. Why? Because everybody else who's trying to get to source is not going through demonkind to get to it. They're not they're not leveling up. They're not increasing in frequency in order to destroy more and more demons. Most of them are increasing in frequency for the sake of increasing in frequency. And then when they meet source, they assume it is complete and all powerful. And in this scenario, it seems that it's not. This is a flaw. That is being exploited. We're working hard. We're keeping on going. We won't stop. But this narrative explains why there's so many lies. They have to cover their tracks in every action they're doing. And they have to use the locals, or what I call the collaborators, i.e. the political, media, military, financial groups who work for off-worlders, who are selling out their whole world and their whole species just for a little bit of luxury. It's pathetic. And that's why there's so many layers of lies, there's so many narratives, there's so much dishonesty. And why the world is being run in a manner that's contradictory to the human heart. But the work we're doing, we're the first ones. What the equilibrium told us is that everybody else is assuming that source is all powerful and all knowing. And we're some of the only people who are here saying, we're in service to all of creation. Can you help us? We're the only ones who are acting on creation's behalf. Rather than asking for something, we're offering something. And they're loving us for it, absolutely loving us for it. Anytime I'm in touch with any of the original earthbound divas or spirits, it's almost like anything you need, Alabar, we're here for you. Anything you need. And it's making me quite a lucky guy. I don't know what else to say, but I'll try and say it in as few sentences as possible. Our planet is under occupation by a force that has consumed multiple galaxies. The goal is to consume our planet. It's just a small cog in a very, very big machine. Our work is bucking the system, and we are working to close down their invasion, their infiltration, and their occupation of our planet. And we finally got the damn question right. All the victories that we've had, they've replenished from other parts of their empire. We killed the good god of alcohol 5 times, and still he's here. Why? Because they just copied off a new one. They just printed off a new one and populated the planet with it again. Sent a capsule of 1,000 spare demons, 10,000 spare demons, and recreated alcoholism. To our massive disappointment. But it took us a long time to discover why that was the case. And they've done this over and over again. But what we want to do, and what we've seen with Satan, is once we connect source to those Tiamat characters, to those Tiamat figures, they evaporate. And from there, the idea, the concept of how to rebuild Satan has been erased. Like the guy whose brainchild he was, the guy who understands him, no longer with us. And so it cannot be recreated because nobody understands the blueprints like he did. And so over the coming months, we're going to be looking at other captains, including Baphomet, Pistis Sophia, Kronos of Time, Ahriman, and Cthulhu. And if we do catch up with all of those Tiamat figures, what we're hoping for is that we can work it from the other way. Not we start from Earth and move out, but that we actually find a way to identify this species of Tiamat characters exterior to creation and hunt those motherfuckers there, because that's where I'm at with it. We're all sick to death of evil. We're all sick to death of corruption. We're all sick to death of our world being mismanaged. So it's time to end this game. This is the narrative I'm running. If you want to come and join us, if you want to be part of it, if you want to have a spirituality that's got some backbone and some boundaries, well, if you want to avoid the love and light crew, come and play with us, because what we have is very, very special. The courses that I run last a year, and they take people from zero to the tippity top of the game. And I'm watching prior graduates like just enter into mastery, just going and mastering their art. It's beautiful, impressive, and wonderful. If you've studied some other things before and you want to really go to the top of it, you really want to see where this goes, check out my website and have a look what's there and see what I teach, because it's not a small amount. Every week is another lesson about another facet of spirituality. And there's a lot of it there that's unique teachings, and there's a lot of it there that you've heard of before. But, get into it, you'll see it. It is the most comprehensive and richest course on the web, full stop. And it's not very expensive. My goal is not to make buckets of money like some other coaches. My goal is to create a group of white wizards who are going to actually defend this world instead of making excuses and stories for our enemies. And the Earth Guard, our most recent intake has more than 250 students. And I think 250 makes the Earth Guard permanent. I think that's, when we have that many people involved in what we're doing, I think that's the ground floor of something that our whole planet has been missing. A group of spiritual warriors who are working day and night on Earth's defense. Yeah. My love to you all. Stay well. Bye for now.